welcome back. In this video, we're going to continue discussing, I guess, the things that probably scare people from keeping discus, and also I'm going to focus on the if you're growing them out. Okay, like things are different if you have an adult discus. You have a fully grown discus that's more than 15 months old, and 15 months is that special number. It's probably not going to grow anymore after that, and you can treat it like an everyday large African cichlid, for example. So now discus are considered top tier freshwater fish. There's other fish like them in the freshwater variety when it comes to management levels, but these fish definitely require a little more, not much more, a little more finesse than your African cichlids do. And a great many people keep African cichlids because they're generally easy to keep. They require more care than a goldfish, so there's a scale of care when it comes to fish keeping, and you just got to understand where you're at on that level and stick with it. But what separates discus from African cichlids is the African cichlids, like most African animal species, they're tough as nails, right? And cichlids are from South America, and they're not so tough genetically. They don't put up with the environment they have is they evolved to a softer environment. They evolved in water that's more acidic than an African cichlid would like, warmer water than an African cichlid would like, and these things add up to how the discus immune system functions. Their slime coat behaves differently. They're one of 3 fish in the whole world that develop a slime coat that sort of rapidly, and they can lose it rapidly too, which is a downfall. But anyhow, and they feed their young off their slime coat. It's almost a form of nursing. The closest thing, I guess, to mammary glands you'll find in the fish world. And there's only 3 fish in the world that do it, and discus is one of them. So they're unique in the sense that they're not going to be like most other fish in the hobby. And understanding that is key. And because of that, there's a whole bunch of nonsense out there when you research these fish. And when you research what you need to do to look after them, you quickly realize it's not what you want to do if you go by what they say. Bare bottom tanks, who wants that? It's ugly, and so on. 1 discus per 10 gallon, well, then your tank looks pretty damn empty. That's not that, and all of these things sound good at face value, and like, for example, 1 discus per 10 gallon. You want the discus to have lots of room, right? And you want them to not be crowded. And it's all about they're pushing what they believe is best for the fish. But in the end, you're putting these beautiful fish in a glass bottom tank with no decor. It's like a void. It's like sticking you in a white room for your whole life, and just foods floating in front of your face every now and then to eat. Any creature would not be stimulated by that environment. These fish are emotional. They literally get depressed, believe it or not. They're highly social creatures. So 1 discus per 10 gallon rule, it doesn't work for them. They want to be in a large school like this. They want this is the density you'll find them in the wild. And if they don't have what they need, like anything else, hierarchy of needs, right? If all the check check boxes aren't checked, then the fish starts to decline. It gets depressed, it doesn't eat, its health declines, it loses weight, its immune system drops, infection gets in, and so on. And then your fish are dying. So, slime coat, big important factor. You have to make sure you're not doing anything that disrupts their slime coats. Simply filling your tank from the tap, if you got bubbly water like mine, you get micro bubbles in your water, that'll lift the slime coats off them. Then you got a problem again, because now their defenses are gone. Their slime coat is everything to these fish. Defenses are gone. Whatever may be floating around in your tank is getting in, and there's likely something there. And boom, fish starts declining. And that is the problem with these fish. But the answer is simple. It's maintenance and clean water, and heavy filtration. I can't stress that enough. I believe the rules need to be rewritten. Okay, because I've done this. I've been researching the crap out of these fish for a year. I've looked at all the available information on YouTube. I've listened to all the gurus, and they were basically steering me into failure. As I learn, I'm watching these same gurus, and there's one of them right now who, had an illness episode in one of his tanks. It was initiated by using two medications at the same time, which obviously you should never do with these fish because they're so sensitive. You would never want to take that risk. And but everybody makes mistakes, and it's part of being human, so there's nothing wrong with that. And he managed to save his fish, so that's good. But the tank he's showing is an adequately sized tank, 75-gallon tank. The fish in it, in the video, he admits they're 5-year-old fish, and they're 4 to 5 inches big. So he's out there and he's giving everybody all this advice, and he sets up a pretty tank, but all his fish are small. So he's he thinks he's doing it right, and that's great, right? But he's not, because none of his fish grow to their maximum size potential, and that's where the first 15 months matters. And everything you need to do for these fish in those first 15 months is like a no-no for a normal African cichlid tank. The feeding levels alone are insane. Like, you got to literally feed them around 6 times a day. I feed them mine more than that. Now, I'm not talking massive feedings. It's enough in the water that this many fish take it down in like 5 minutes. The water's clear 5 minutes later, no matter what I feed. Beef heart, whatnot, particles are gone. And my filtration is heavy enough that it would also the filtration would clean up any free-floating particles. So they've literally got between 5 and 10 minutes to eat what I put in there. And they normally eat it. And anything that's too small is getting sucked up by my filters. I've got 2 UVs going. You'll hear me in my videos talk about these UV units. They are cheap. They are not any sort of top-notch unit. The bulbs are very effective. They literally are deteriorating the internal plastic casing. All UV will deteriorate whatever they're directly shining on. Even they have to the housings, the glass housings for the bulbs, to separate them from the water column. Those are made of crystal, because if they're made of glass, they would turn white in a heartbeat, because the UV would destroy them. So the UV is very strong on these units. These are Sun units, JP something 01, and the good thing about them is the bulbs are cheap, really cheap. It probably costs $30 a unit American. I pay $60. In Canada, everything's like double the price up here or more, because we got import tax. Not just a dollar difference, we got import taxes, hidden stuff. That, for example, your Fluval FX6s in America, you'll get them for under $300 on average if you look around for them, right? But up here, we're paying $650 to $700 for that unit, and it's the money difference only about 25 cents on the dollar. It's not that. It's all of the hidden taxes that we get pelted with. So, but anyhow, I'm a man that likes to do things on the cheap. I got 2 of these in the tank, one in each corner. Okay, each one's got a 9-watt bulb. It's 18 watts total UV. People will knock these things because they're fast flow. Okay, so they run fast flow over the bulb, but I run them 24/7, 7 days a week, and I run 2 of them. So that's 18 watts. Each one of them pumps like 450 gallons an hour over the bulb. So it's an insane amount of constant UV exposure, and it works. All I gotta say is it works. My bacteria levels in my water are nil, and they stay that way despite my heavy feedings. And that's the key to growing your discus properly. It's the bacteria in the water. The foods that you have to feed these fish are going to turn your water into a bacteria nightmare. Even if you think your water's looking clear, it's got nasty bacteria in it, and that bacteria is going to slow down these fish. It's going to stunt them, and many things can stunt them. Like this one's just a fussy eater, and she was born with some deformities, and she's not quite right. But we're working with her, and hopefully I can get her to grow. But she's already so far behind that she'll only be a 4-inch fish. She's going to look like the guru guy with his 75 gallon. She's going to look like his fish when she finishes growing, if I can keep her alive. But she's doing good, and that's what happens, And in her case, it's fussy eating, and nothing I can really do because everything is working for everybody else is growing just fine. But stunting happens for different reasons. That's her reason. And but water quality, it's all in the water. It's really everything's about the water. Even this guy, I don't know. He talks about water, but it doesn't seem like he's got the game right. All of his tanks, and he's got several. I haven't seen a 10-inch discus in his whole fleet, not one. So that's what you're aiming for. You want those 9 to 12 inch. 12 inches don't happen very often. 8 or 9, they should all make 8 or 9, and that's what you're aiming for. So heavy filtration, UV. These are expensive fish. If you can't blow $30 or $60 on some UV units, and don't get into the hype about fast flow, slow flow, because they're just trying to sell the $1,000 slow flow unit to you, when these things will do just fine. They do what you need done. Okay, there's better units out there. I'm not going to argue that. Okay, but 2 of these in a 90 gallon. Well, I got 120 gallons of volume. There's 160 gallons worth of UV between the 2 of them. Everything's beautiful in this tank ever since I put those in. After I got 2 of these in, my growth rates went through the roof. One of them wasn't enough. I was having problems. I was having illness. I was still having problems. 2 of them, everything went away. So don't be afraid of UV. You'll hear a lot of people talking shit about it. If you're going to run fish like this, I highly, highly, highly recommend getting over a lot of the hype out there, because it's just not right. It's not right. So 75 gallon and up tank, two discus per 10 gallon, you'll have a happy school of fish. Like, they banter because cichlids do that, but generally my tank always is like this. After everybody's had their breakfast, full belly, it's peace. Even the little ones can do whatever they want. No problems. So, and yeah, water changes. I can do water changes every 3 days. So you don't have to do it every day, like, some of these other people believe. You just need the filtration. period. Lots of filtration. I'm running a sump, lots of biomedia in there. Tank totally supports this population without issue. I'm going to add 2 or 3 more soon. I want to be in the 2021 Discus range. And again, when they do age out, they'll be going into breeding tanks and the population will reduce. But if you want to make pairs, this is how you do it. You get them growing up together in a big group like this, and you will get pairs. Because that's another hard thing to do, is just even get a pair. You could buy 10 Discus and you might not even get a pair. So it's a numbers game, right? But don't be afraid to own these fish, because it's absolutely the funnest species of fish I've ever owned. And maybe part of that is just, the challenge. And if you're somebody who likes a challenge, who likes to be observant, and learn from your fish instead of from what everyone's telling you, you learn to read them, and they'll let you know. They'll let you know. These fish literally talk to you. And it's really, really easy to see when something's not right. And then you just fix it for them. And fixing it normally means, pick up your water change game for a few days or something. And then everything, clean water fixes all. It really does. And that's the code to Discus. Clean water fixes all. So, heavy feedings, first 15 months, clean ass water, heavy filtration always, and lots of UV. Don't be afraid of UV. It doesn't make you a bad fish keeper to run UV. It's an excellent tool in the toolbox to protect these fish who have very, very sensitive immune systems. You got to keep that bacteria load down. There's no better way to keep the bacteria load down than deploying UV. Thanks again, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.